What's up, everyone? I'm Sydney Goodman, and I'm here with none other than Geoff Keighley.
You the delivery dude? Oh, that's a relief. I've just about given up on you.
All right, so let's start at the top.
Yep.
Death Stranding. It's all the internet can talk about. Obviously, Kojima premiered some pretty incredible stuff on opening night live.
I know.
Let's start. You're in the game, dude.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. I mean, is it crazy to you, or are you just kind of like, whatever?
No,
it's fine?
it's kind of nuts. I mean, maybe you're in the game too.
That would definitely be a surprise. Maybe some like Game Awards footage.
Yeah, you never know,
archived in the
Kojima.
TV.
Yeah,
You
no,
never
it's
know.
he scammed me a couple years ago in San Diego. I had no idea what for. He's just like,
Yeah.
Geoff, come down. I want you to see the process of how we scam people. So I was
Okay.
there the same day as Nicholas Winding Refn, the director. We both got scanned, and I had no idea what he was going to do with it. And he didn't tell me until like a week or two ago. He's like, oh, you're kind of in the game.
Oh, so he didn't
It's
just
like-
randomly send you an email that was like game footage?
No, I had no
No.
idea. And it was like, I saw him at Comic-Con. He sort of talked about like, oh, I have this idea of how I'm going to use you in the game. And then when I saw the footage last week, I'm like, okay, that's cool, because it wasn't my voice. And actually at Comic-Con, I ran into Matthew Mercer, who's the voice of Geoff Keighley in the game.
I don't want to be weird, but I feel you and I might have like a connection or something.
And he came up to me and he's like, oh, by the way, like I play you. And I had no idea. And
Yeah.
I was like, really? And then Kojima was there too. He's like, he's just laughing in the corner. He's like, oh, maybe. So yeah, it's like Kojima, you never know what to expect, but I trust him implicitly. And it's like, I don't even know, like, can you go back to me throughout the game multiple times? Do I have other things I
so
do?
you have like basically next to no context on your character.
No knowledge.
Have you actually gotten to play the game at all?
I have played a little Death Stranding.
Oh!
I have, yes.
Wink at the camera.
Yeah. It's pretty
to give
cool.
your rating. The number of winks will be our.
I mean,
official
I only
Geoff
played like a
Keighley.
very small piece of it. The thing with that game is that I think he's really trying to do something different with it. And I think when people see footage, just like, we're all trying to piece together like what he's working on and how does this all make sense. We're like, Norman Reedus is peeing. Like, what does that mean? And how does this all fit together? But what I will say, I think, about the game is that what he's doing with the online aspects of it, I think people aren't quite fully ready for what he's sort of doing. And if you remember, even in opening night live, he talked a lot about how people like, everyone can like pee on the mushroom and it'll grow bigger. And it's like, I mean, it's silly and funny, but you got to take that concept and think about how that applies to everything you do in the game in this sort of connected world of connecting people. So people like, he loves to talk about these things and people are like, oh, that's so silly, crazy Kojima, but think about that, how that applies to everything you're doing in the game and what's going to happen. And again, I think he's building something that is, it's not just a single player game, there's sort of these online components. I think he'll eventually talk about more of that, but I'm really excited for people to kind of realize what's in the game. And again, I don't even fully understand it because there's so much to it, but he's operating at such a different level with like rocking the baby and all this other craziness.
Totally.
I'm like, we'll see.
Well, and I think it's something that we're all trying to figure it out in the context of games we've played before.
Exactly.
And mechanics that we currently understand. So I think any time there's something new introduced, we're probably all very off base.
No, that's a great point, because I think people like always want to say like, oh, it's just like Metal Gear, or it's just like Journey, or people like, oh, it's just a walking simulator, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, people have seen combat in some of the trailers, and there's elements there, and I think he's really going to take you on, I think, a crazy journey that is like completely unpredictable. And every time he shows something, you don't know what to expect. And think of how many games you play where you see one level and you're like, I've kind of seen the whole game.
Yeah.
And it's like the story might be different, the enemies might be a little harder, the art might be a little different. But this game, like every time he shows something, it's like out there. I mean, even the cutscenes he showed, it's like the
it's
bridge
like such
baby
a zigzag.
and all
you think
that.
You're understanding, and you're not.
Yeah. But again, like you just have to sort of trust him or don't trust him. But I'm really excited about it being so different. As you said, it's not just another third-person action game, which is kind of what we need in this industry, is people kind of pushing in different directions, doing different styles of games.
You must understand, there is still a great deal we don't know about BBs. As we expand the chiral network and recover more past data, perhaps we'll find our answers.
Gamescom is the biggest gaming event on Earth, and IGN at Gamescom Now is bringing it to you live all week long. We've got exclusive gameplay, demos, cosplay, esports, and so much more. If you can't be here in person, IGN at Gamescom Now is the next best thing. IGN Live at Gamescom is presented by Alienware. Alienware, we're game.